The road into the forest was little more than a forgotten scar, half swallowed by moss and roots. It wound deeper and deeper into the pines, where the trees stood so close they strangled out the light. Even in mid-afternoon, the place was dim, like dusk had settled permanently between the trunks. 6 tourists trudged forward, packs heavy on their backs, boots caked with mud. They had been walking for hours, chasing the faint directions they'd found on some half-abandoned forum, the coordinates of an old pioneer camp, long shuttered, deep in the forests of northern Russia. Their names were Anya and Kirill, a young couple from Moscow. Denis and Oksana, a married pair, already tired of each other's complaints. Yura, Kirill's restless cousin, who always wanted something dangerous to brag about. And finally Masha, Oksana's younger sister, pale and reserved, dragged along despite her protests. Yura was the ringleader, the one who'd read about the camp online. Its name was Krasny Bereg, Red Shore. Built in the 1970s, closed in the 1980s after a string of unsolved accidents. Some said children drowned in the lake. Others swore kids vanished at night, taken by wolves. There were whispers, too, about a staff member gone mad, one who stayed behind when the camp was abandoned. Urban legends, Yura had insisted, creepy Soviet history, perfect adventure. But now, trudging through the mist, the others weren't so sure. The forest grew heavier as they approached. The birds fell silent. The air thickened with damp and resin. And when the camp finally revealed itself, it was like stepping into a graveyard. The cafeteria stood first, its windows broken, doors hanging from rusted hinges. Murals of smiling children in red scarves peeled from cracked plaster, their painted eyes warped into grotesque grins. Nearby, dormitory cabins sagged into the soil, roofs caved in. Swings dangled limply, chains screeching whenever the breeze stirred them. "This place is worse than I imagined," Oksana muttered. "Exactly what I wanted," Yura grinned, already pulling out his camera. "Urban decay, ghosts of childhood, it's brilliant." Anya rubbed her arms. "It feels wrong, like something's watching us." "Don't start," Kirill said, though he glanced nervously at the tree line. "We set up camp, take photos, have some vodka. Tomorrow we leave." So they pitched tents in the cracked courtyard. Night crept faster than expected, shadows stretching long, mist curling low. They built a fire near the broken statue of Lenin, whose outstretched hand was snapped off at the wrist, pointing accusingly at the trees. At first, the fire's warmth eased them. They drank, they joked half-heartedly. But then Masha stiffened. "Do you hear that?" she whispered. It was a howl, long, low, guttural, too close. Then another answered, and another, until the night swelled with voices. Wolves, a whole pack. "They don't come near people," Denis said, but his voice was thin. "They're circling," Anya whispered. And they were. The howls shifted, weaving around the camp, closing in. The fire seemed suddenly small, fragile. A foul, cloying stench, rotting meat, sweet and putrid. Something moved in the tree line, a tall, stooped figure dragging something heavy. The howling stopped. The wolves grew silent, waiting. The man stepped into the firelight. His hair hung in ropes, his beard crusted with filth. His clothes were tatters, black with old stains. In one hand, he clutched an axe. In the other, he dragged a deer carcass, its belly split open, blood dripping into the dirt. He smiled at them. His teeth were broken, yellow, some filed to points. The wolves emerged behind him, a dozen or more, eyes burning in the firelight. They didn't snarl. They sat, waiting. The man dropped the deer at the fire's edge. The wolves tore into it, snarling wetly. "I feed them," the man rasped, voice cracked like dry wood. "And they feed me. They keep me safe. They keep me strong." He tilted his head. "You shouldn't have come." Kirill tried to swallow, his throat dry. We will leave right now. No trouble." The man raised the axe. "No one leaves Krasny Bereg." At his whistle, two lunged. Yora screamed as they dragged him down, teeth sinking into his arm. His camera shattered against the stone. He thrashed, but another wolf clamped onto his throat, and the scream gurgled out. "Run!" Kirill shouted, swinging a burning branch. The wolves backed off for a heartbeat. They scattered. Kirill dragged Masha toward the cafeteria ruins. Anya followed, sobbing. Dennis and Oksana bolted for the cabins. Behind them, Yora's cries cut short, ending in a wet, choking sound. The maniac didn't chase. He stood calmly, licking blood from his fingers. His wolves slunk back to him, muzzles dripping. The hunt had only begun. Kirill shoved Anya and Masha inside the cafeteria. The floor was warped, covered in broken glass and bird droppings. A mural of happy children in red scarves watched from the wall, their painted eyes warped into grotesque grins. Nearby, dormitory cabins sagged into the soil, roofs caved in. Swings dangled limply, chains screeching whenever the breeze stirred them. Shut up, he'll hear," Kirill hissed, pressing them behind an overturned table. Outside, wolves padded through the courtyard, nails clicking against stone. Their master's voice drifted in, low and sing-song. "Little mice in the pantry, hiding from the cat." Anya clutched Kirill's arm, trembling. Masha stared blankly, lips moving in silent prayer. A shadow passed the doorway, slow, deliberate steps on rotten wood. Kirill held his breath. The man entered, dragging the axe along the floor. Sparks flew as the blade scraped. He sniffed the air like a beast. "I smell fear. I smell meat." He wandered between the broken tables, head jerking in quick, unnatural motions. The wolves didn't enter. They waited outside, eyes glowing. The man stopped inches from their hiding place. His cracked nails tapped the wood. Then suddenly he laughed, a ragged, choking sound. He left. The silence was worse than his presence. They dared not breathe until his footsteps faded. Kirill grabbed their hands. "We have to move, now!" Dennis and Oksana crouched in the ruins of a dormitory. Rows of rusted bed frames jutted like ribs. A child's shoe lay in the dust, mold eating the leather. Oksana clung to Dennis. "We should never have come here." "Shh!" He peered through the broken window. The courtyard was empty. Then, growl. A wolf stood in the doorway, teeth bared. Another appeared behind it. Then another. Dennis swung a board with a nail jutting out from it. "Stay back!" The first wolf lunged. The board cracked against its skull, but more poured in. Dennis shouted, swinging wildly, but they drove him back against the wall. Jaws snapped at his legs. "Dennis!" Oksana screamed. He shoved her toward the window. "Run!" She scrambled out as the wolves dragged him down. His scream was brief, ending in the crunch of bone. Oksana ran into the night, the howls chasing close behind. The camp became a labyrinth of terror. The wolves moved with unnatural discipline,
hurting the survivors rather than simply killing them. Their masters' whistles and clicks guided them like soldiers. Anya, Kirill, and Masha slipped from building to building, trying to find an escape route. Oksana stumbled upon them near the shattered gymnasium, her face pale with shock. They killed Dennis, ripped him apart like nothing. We have to get out of here, Kirill hissed. The road, if we can make it back. But the forest itself seemed to close around them. Paths twisted into dead ends. The mist thickened, disorienting. Every direction led back to the courtyard, where the man stood waiting, wolves at his feet. "You don't leave," he called, voice echoing. "The children never left. They're still here, and now you'll